Hi, my name is Nikipirowicz, and today I will show you how to make this super simple and very quick hat to make. You will find the pattern on the West Yorkshire Spinners website. The hat is made in rows from bottom up. So we will start with the ribbing and then move on to the body and then shape our crown and finish off nicely with the pom-pom, and the hat is seamed at the back here. To make this hat, you will need the West Yorkshire Spinach Retreat Chunky. You will need scissors, tapestry needle big enough with an eye big enough to pass through the yarn, pom-pom maker. My one is 8.5 centimeters in diameter. You will also need two sets of needles. One is 5.5 millimeters, one is 6 millimeters. We will be working in row and not in round, so please don't be discouraged with the circular needles. I use them because they are just a lot easier on my hand. You can of course use straight needle or whatever needles you like, as long as you can house all your stitches on those needles. Also, if you like this video, then please do like and subscribe and share with your friends. Let's get started. To start our hat, we will need to cast on 81 stitches. So we will start with a slip knot. The way I make a slip knot, I grab the end of my yarn, make a loop on my palm with the end going on top of the long piece of yarn, lift up the loop and place it on top of the long thread, grab it from the middle and tighten it. Place it on your needle and tighten the knot. And make sure it's not too tight, it's nice and movable. Now, I use a cable cast on because this is the cast on I like for this hat. It gives you a beautiful edge. I'll show you how it's done. You can, of course, use any cast on you like. Insert your right hand needle in between the loop on your needle already. Wrap the working yarn around this needle and pull it through the middle. Basically the same way you came in. Pull it out a bit more and place it back on your left hand needle. So now you have two loops. So when you have two loops, things change a little bit. So now instead of going in between the stitch, you're going to go in between the two stitches. So the first two stitches from the tip of your needle. So in between the first two stitches, see, directly like this. I'm going to show you from this side as well. Grab your yarn, wrap around the needle, and just pull it out. So use your fingers to kind of gently scoop it out. Pull it out a bit more and place it on your left hand needle. And now again, in between the first two stitches on your needle, yarn around, use your finger to gently pull it out and on your left hand needle. So we need to do 81 stitches. So when we have 81 stitches on our needle, we are ready to start our first row. So now we are ready to start our first row of the ribbing. So our ribbing starts with knit 3. So we're going to knit the first 3 stitches. So into your stitch, yarn around, pull it through, and then slip it off. So that's 1, 2, and 3. Then we are going to purl 2. So bring your yarn forward in between the needle, into the front leg of your stitch, around and pull it through. In, around and pull it through. Now we're going to go back with our yarn. So the yarn goes at the back of the needles, at the back of the work, and we're going to knit 2. Knit 2 and then back to purl 2. So now we are going to repeat this knit 2 purl 2 until the end of the row. purl 2, and knit 2. Purl and knit 2. So knit 2 stitches, purl 2 stitches. And repeat that until the end of the row. So when we reach almost the end, our repeat should end with purl 2. So if it's ending with purl 2, we are on the right track and we have followed everything correctly. So we should end with purl 2. Now we are ready for our second row. And our second row starts with knit 2, but will end with purl 3, because you remember at the beginning we had knit 3. So we are going to end with purl 3, but we're going to start with knit 2, knit 2, and then we're going to purl 2, and again knit 2. So repeat that until you've got 3 stitches left, and we're going to knit those 3 stitches at the end. Okay, so we are ending our repeat with knit 2, and then that will leave us 3 stitches at the end, and we're going to purl those 3 stitches. Right, so that's our second row of our rib complete. Now you will start again with the row 1, which means knit 3, purl 2, knit 2, purl 2, knit 2, and on and on and on. Now, I want you to repeat those 2 rows for 8 more rows. So altogether, at the end of your ribbing, you will have completed 10 rows altogether of ribbing. Okay? And I will see you back here when those 10 rows are done. So when you finish your ribbing, your work should look like this. Now, the best way to count your rows is when you look at your knit stitch formed those gorgeous V's, you see? These are lovely V's. So you've got the one leg and the second leg of your V. So to count our rows, all we basically count is those V's going up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 here. So that means that we have 10 rows and we are on the right side facing for our next row. So our next row begins with the right side, and what we have to do now is change to our 6mm needles. What we're going to do, we're going to simply start knitting with our 6mm needles. So we transfer all the stitches onto this needle by knitting them. So the body of our hat starts with the knit stitch. It basically is work in stocking stitch, so which is a knit stitch on the right side and a purl stitch on the wrong side. So with the right side, we're going to simply start knitting. So knit all those stitches. No ribbing anymore, no purling, just a knit all the way to the end. Oopsie daisy. See, so now our 5.5mm needles can go, and we are now only on our 6mm. So now we turn our work, we are on the wrong side, and we will purl all the end, all the way until the end. Here we go. So that's our and that's our purl row completed. Okay, so we are now back on our right side. So again, we're going to knit on the right side and purl on the wrong side. If you stretch your work out a little bit to see the last 2 rows, you will see that we have formed gorgeous V's on the right side. And if you look on the wrong side, you will see those little bumps. So that's indicate that you are on the wrong side, and the V's indicate that you are on the right side. So on the right side, you will knit. On the wrong side, you will purl. So we have to do the knit and purl for 18 more rows, which means altogether with those 2 rows that we have just made, we will have 20. And that will be the body of the hat completed, and we are ready for the shaping of the crown. So now that we have knitted the 20 rows of the body of our hat, we are ready for shaping the crown. Shaping the crown is a decrease around the top of the hat that shapes the hat beautifully to fit well around our head. So to start our decrease, we will knit 8 stitches. So just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now we are going to knit 2 together. So that will decrease 1 stitch. Simply insert your needle into the 2 stitches and knit them as 1. And again, knit 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And again, knit 2 together. So insert your needle into the 2 stitches and then knit them as 1. And again, we need to repeat this all the way. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and then knit 2 together. So repeat that all the way to end, and you will have 1 stitch left at the end. So we end up with 1 stitch, and we're going to knit this stitch as normal. The reason we casted on 1 extra stitch because it will help us when we are sewing up. It will give us a neater edge. We do no decreases on the wrong side, we just simply purl to end. Now we are back on the right side again. I forgot to mention that after every single decrease row, please do count your stitches. So at the moment, after our first decrease row, we should have 73 stitches. So now we are going to have a second decrease row, after which we should have 65 stitches. So again, we're going to decrease evenly, but this time we're going to decrease every 7 stitches. So we're going to knit 7, do our knit 2 together, knit 7, knit 2 together, all the way along until we end up with 1 stitch at the end. So knit 7 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then knit 2 together. And again, 7, and knit 2 together. And again, continue to do this all the way down until you have 1 stitch left. Again, 1 stitch left, and knit this one as normal. And again, wrong side, we're going to purl all the way down. Now count your stitches, you should now have 65 stitches. So purl row, and I see you back here when we are back on the right side. So now that we are on the right side again, we are going to now decrease every 6. So we have 8, 7, 6, and then the next row is every 5. So every 6. Again, knit 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and knit 2 together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and knit 2 together. Now do that all the way to the end until you have 1 stitch left. We end up with 1 stitch, and that one will be knitted as normal. Again, on the wrong side, we're going to purl. And now after this row, you should have 57 stitches. So count them and do the purl row. And now we are ready for our decrease every 5th stitch. So we're going to knit 5 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and decrease. So 2 together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 2 together. So repeat that all the way down until again you have 1 stitch left. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, we've got 1 stitch left. And this one, oh, I've got a bit of, there we go. And we knit it as normal. So after this, we should have 49 stitches. So count all of them. You see those lovely little decreases are forming very nice effect. So after the purl row, another increase row, this time every 4th stitch. So we're going to knit 4 and 2, and then knit 2 together. 1, 2, 3, 4, and knit 2 together. Oopsie daisy, let me do that again. Knit 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 together. And then all the way down until you have 1 stitch left. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, 1 stitch left, and knit this one as normal. So after this, you should have 41 stitches. So do please count them. And a purl row next. So purl row, and then we are ready for another decrease row. Okay, so again, we are on the right side. So now we are ready for another decrease row. And we are almost finished with our hat. So we have very little to go. So now we are going to decrease every 3rd stitch. So knit 3, 1, 2, oopsie daisy, 1, 2, 3, and knit 2 together. 1, 2, 3, and knit 3 together. Oops. And again, repeat that all the way to the end of the row until you have 1 stitch left. 1, 2, 3. And again, end with 1 stitch and knit this stitch as normal. Now we're going to do a purl row. After this decrease row, you should have 33 stitches. We are going to do a purl row, and then we are almost done. Just 2 more rows after this purl row. Perfect. So now 1 more decrease row. This one now is going to be every 2 stitches. So we're going to decrease. So 1, 2, and decrease 2 together. So knit 2, 1, 2, and then knit 2 together. And do that until the last stitch. 1, 2, knit 2 together. And then we end up with 1 and knit this one. Now, we are on the wrong side row now, and this is our last row. And this time, we're not going to just purl all the way. We're going to actually decrease on this row as well. So at the moment, we should have 25 stitches. So do please give them a count. And now we are going to do our last row, which is on the wrong side. We're going to start with purl 1 stitch. So we're going to purl only 1. And now we are going to purl 2 together all the way. So purl 2 together, we're going to insert our needle into the 2 stitches as if to purl, because we are purling, and then purl them as 1. Again, 2 stitches and purl them as 1. See, so do this all the way to end. And the 2 last stitches. Now we should have 13 stitches left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Perfect. So now what we are ready now to finish off and sew up our hat. What I want you to do now is cut your yarn, giving yourself a very good tail. I would say about 80 centimeters. Now feed the end of this tail through your tapestry needle. And now you are going to feed those stitches on your needle onto this tapestry needle. You can put your needle away now, you won't need it. Now pull it all through. See? There we go. Now tighten it gently to make sure that the opening is closed, and don't go over those stitches again. Insert it again just to give it a double strength, I would say. There we go. And tighten. And now we are ready to sew up our seam. It's kind of really helpful to grab a safety pin and pin it, the two edges, the bottom, you see at the bottom, pin them two together. I do this all the time, purely because it will help me when I'm sewing up, which means those edges will not shift for me, they will keep its place. So when I'm sewing up, I won't have a big gap left at the end. We are going to use a mattress stitch to sew up our seam, which is a nice invisible seam, but it will be done on the right side of our hat. I want you to remember something very important here. Now, this yarn is a roving yarn, which means it doesn't have a twist to it, which makes it quite delicate in a way when it comes to sewing up. So you mustn't be tugging and pulling on it because it will break. So what I usually do when I sew up, I don't pull it out all the way. I just gently do it a bit by bit. Let me show you what I mean after we do the first stitch. So if you look at your stitches, if you spread them out a little bit, you see there's your stitch here. So you've got the edge one here and you've got this one here. So your stitch is a beautiful V. In between this V, there is a strand. You've got a strand lying in between this V. When we're sewing up with mattress stitch, this is where we are going into with our needle. So we will grab this stitch on this side, and we will grab this stitch in between on this side. And this is why we also included one more stitch, because at the end, when we've got our last decreases, you see here, we have something to sew up into and not to sew up into our decrease. So we've got this one stitch here on the edge, which will be perfect for sewing up to, which means we don't distort our decrease. So let's start. So we're going stitch by stitch. You must remember that it's stitch by stitch. So we're going to go into the first stitch here. This is a bit of decrease. So we're going to go underneath here. So first stitch here. And again, you see what I mean? Don't pull it out all the way, but do gently bit by bit. That will help this yarn not break away. And also don't tug on it too much. Now again, we're going to go in between the edge stitch here to match the other one. You see, I'm going in between. And again. This yarn is beautiful and it's very strong when it's knitted. But when you're sewing up, it can break. So I just want you to be mindful of that and not tug on it. in, gently, gently. And again, the same thing on the other side, you see? So we're going to be doing stitch by stitch all the way down. And here, right on the edge. So not into our decrease, but the stitch just before the decrease. Now, if you will look at what we have sewn up already, you see it will look lovely and neat. All of these stitches are lined up to create this kind of almost seamless effect. And this is what we want to achieve. So don't rush with your sewing up. If you love if you want a lovely effect, take your time. There's no hurry to finish it off. When we reach our ribbing, you remember at the beginning here we had those 3 knits. So we're going to go, you see, so we've got 1V, 2V. We're going to go into the 3rd V, which is just kind of turning around here. You see, so that's where it is. But on this side, our stitches here were purl stitches. So we're going to go into the bump of the purl stitch. So you see, we're going to go into the side stitch here. And here we're going to go into a bump. See, the bump of the purl stitch. Now, the bump, oopsie daisy, here you go, stitch. Okay, and the bump. Okay, we're almost done. There we go, the little bump here. What I want to show you in a minute, the reason we did this one extra stitch, it wasn't only because it gives us a beautiful seam on the decreases, but also it's very beneficial for our ribbing. So when we sew up our ribbing to give us a more seamless effect. Right, let me just take this out now. The last bump here, and then we're going to just join those 2 edges. So what I usually do, I go into the edge here, do like a figure of 8, and then go into the opposite edge, and again figure of 8. So now we are ready to sew up our seam, but I want you to first give it a nice stretch so it's not too full. And let me show you the actual ribbing. So you see, so this is where we have sewn up. So even though we have 3 knits at the beginning, we have now beautiful seamless 2x2 rib. You see, because we had this extra stitch, which means that by sewing up, we didn't eat into our main knit stitches. So now we have beautiful 2x2 rib. So then turn it around. And I usually just weave in the end into the actual seam. I usually do it 3 times, and that is perfectly enough. So 3 up. And 3 down, just to kind of go back on yourself so it traps this yarn nicely. Again, make sure it's not too tight so it doesn't pull. Okay, and just one little one here, and now I can cut this off now. And now what I have to do is just weave in this little end here, and again I'm going to do it into the seam. Oops. And again 3 times up. And 3 down. And that should suffice. Make sure you give it a nice stretch because you don't want your seam to be too hard. You see the seam here is really nice and it is quite invisible. So what I will suggest now is give your hat a bit of a steam with an iron. So make sure you don't touch the fabric itself, but you kind of gently hover over the hat so the steam penetrate all the fiber. But before I do that, I'm going to first make a pom-pom and I'm going to show you how to make one. So for my pom-pom, I use this fantastic little gadget by Knit Pro. I think there's huge amounts of them from different brands as well. I have got the 85mm one, and you see, it has 2 parts, so you can spread, like, you can pull it apart. It also has something what I call flippers. It's got a half here and a half down. So leaving one of them open, we're going to grab our yarn and wind it around half of the flipper until it's kind of almost nice and full here. So when you're happy with that, close this half, cut off the yarn, open this half and repeat the process. Just wind your yarn all the way until that half is almost full. Okay, so that's done. Close it. And you can trim this here. Now, what you're going to do is that you're going to cut all along the groove and then here as well and all along here. So cut all the strands. And then these ones. Now, cut yourself a length of your yarn. Place it inside this groove here. Pull it tight. Again, be careful with your yarn. Don't pull it too tight, but pull it enough. Make a knot. Again, go around again and do the same. Just, double security, as I say. Now you are ready to open up your flippers and separate the 2 halves. So pull them apart. Shake your pom-pom and give it a good trim. See, so all those little strands are nice and even. So when you do that, your pom-pom should be lovely and even all the way around. Now, grab your hat. Grab your tapestry needle, and you see with those 2 tails, feed one of them through the needle. Insert it on either side of your opening, not right through, but on either side of your opening. And then go to the other side and pull this needle out. Now, again, go through the middle of the pom-pom and back down into the side you have entered. So back down there. Okay? Pull your needle out and leave this strap. You see the strap is inside. Leave it in there for now. Do exactly the same thing with the other side. So this side I'm going to enter from the opposite side and through here. And again, through the middle of the pom-pom and back. Oopsie daisy, where's it? There it is. And back the way I came. Turn it inside out. Pull it and tie it in a knot. Now, you can weave in the ends or you can just cut them. Leave it. I'm going to do 4 knots. For luck, I suppose. Or you can just give yourself a bit of a tail and that's it. And that is it. Your perfect winter hat is complete. Now, one more thing. If you would like to make the hat longer for it to be a bit more slouchy, because this one is a beanie, it's meant to fit well around your head. If you would like it a bit more slouchy, or maybe you would like a turn-up rib, of course, make the rib longer, or add more rows between your ribbing and your decreases. You will have enough yarn on the ball of yarn to allow that. So don't worry, add few more rows either into the body of the hat or add few more rows onto your rib if you would like a little turn-up rib. Now, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy making this hat, and don't forget the pattern is on the West Yorkshire Spinners website. And if you have enjoyed the video, then please do like and subscribe. And also please share. Maybe some of your friends would like to make a hat as well. Thank you so much.